Hey, everybody, welcome into the show today. How are you? It's good to be here with you. I love you. Welcome into the program. I'm getting a message that says subscribe to earn drops. I don't know what that means. Welcome into the program in spite of living in a world where sometimes we don't know what's going on and we don't know what anything means. Yes, Ed, get on in here, everybody. The water's fine. It's 69 in Boca Raton. Why don't you call me on the phone? Yes, Ed, thank you. Now, let's make sure we have everything ready to go. Obviously, someone who is more professional would always have this ready to go. And we just want to welcome everyone into the program today, especially those of you who aren't here yet because no one's here. So how are you? Welcome in. I got a cold brew machine. It's apparently some kind of Asian cold brew machine from Asia. And what it is it's a giant contraption, and you put the cold brew, you put the you put the water at the top, and then you set it to drip ever so slowly, and it drips ever so slowly. You're supposed to tune it to like one drip every 1.5 seconds. I mean, come on. That's ridiculous. Why don't you just say, make it look like a slow drip? Anyway, so you do that, and then, yeah, that's the deal. So yesterday we went toe-to-toe with MAGA Disinfo, and what was interesting was Rev Deuce did an okay job, but not an incredible job. Do you know what I mean? So I think we should pull up the videotape of what happened yesterday, and then Rev Deuce we can all talk about how I did, if I did a good job or if I did a bad job, and we can talk about all of the things that we might do to fight back. And welcome into the program, everybody. Welcome in. So what have you been seeing in the news that's caused you to, what's going on? What's my fiance texting me? What have you been seeing in the news? Fiance's worried about my hearing. What have all of you been seeing in the news? I want to know. I want you to tell me. I want to be aware of things that are important that are going on. And, what do you got for me today? It seems like a slow one today, and this is how we start the program. I should be mindful of how the program starts for people who, see this later, because, I guess you got to be interesting right away. In life, you have to be interesting right away. Everyone knows that. Everyone knows that if you're not interesting immediately, that you will fail. And so that's how we have to live our lives now. And so we are going to live our lives that way. Welcome into the program, whoever just arrived. And if it is my young pal, Emmett, hello, Emmett, and I love you. And it's so nice to see you today. Maybe this does turn into a kids program. I mean, really, why not? So let's go in and check in on what happened yesterday. Yesterday we started a stream at 4
with the Russian government
p.m.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I guess you could.
And so what we want to talk about is how did Rev Deuce do yesterday when he went toe-to-toe with MAGA Disinfo? Now, the thing is that for some reason MAGA folks are still obsessed with the Russia thing. But then if I were to say, look, I want to focus on right now, they might say, or they're obsessed with now with this Biden health thing. And if we knew that, like, Donald Trump, I mean, we do know that Donald Trump is unfit, but it's like, I don't really want to talk about the Russia thing with someone. I don't really care about, I care about it deeply. I care about a foreign adversary, attempting to sway our elections. But there is such a discipline of messaging on the right, and such a training of, the Gish Galop, and such a training of whataboutism and all of these kinds of things, that it's pretty hard to combat it in real time. And so what kind of tools and such can I devise in order to, I got to get the call in ready. Hold on one second. What tools can I devise to go back at someone who is telling me that, when I'm speaking about our information ecosystem, and I'm speaking about, hello dot chick, and I'm speaking about, the fact that there's a fact-based stream and a propaganda stream, and someone on the right, in the MAGA right, wants to push back on that, what do I do? How do I act? What do I say? So this is a terrible view that I've given you here of this thing. But so yesterday, this young man wanted to bring up, he wanted to bring up the MAGA situation. The Russian situation. And so I said that, well, it's true that Russia was involved in the election, that Paul Manafort, his previous job had been to work for Vladimir Putin to get someone named Viktor Yanukovych installed, right? And this guy just wanted to talk about how the Mueller report had found that that there was no collusion. And I can't remember back, because I don't care. I'm focused on Donald Trump's current corruption, and I'm not butthurt about sorry, what am I saying? Well, whatever. I'm not butthurt about what happened in 2016. I just want people to get on a fact-based stream of information. That's all I care about. So this guy called into the program, and it went kind of like this.
That in our government. But so when you say
it looks terrible.
Politicians on the left, who are you talking about? Saying and things like that.
You mean where do I get my daily news from?
Sure. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I guess I would get it from usually breaking points. I like to listen to Pod Save America because I get some good chuckles. Yeah, I like Scott Horton. I guess those are some 3 people recently that I've been listening to a lot.
Okay.
Or I guess podcasts.
Scott Horton, Breaking Points, and then you really, for real, you spend your time listening to PodSave because you just like to laugh at their progressive viewpoint, or what? I mean, I wouldn't say they're really progressive. They're like Obama.
Well, I like to see what people on the left are talking about. I think they have a pretty, usually a pretty ridiculous standpoint. I mean, especially now. I mean, here's an example. They were the ones propping up Joe Biden years ago, and now they're all coming out. John Favreau is oh yeah, no, that was a mistake, and we were talking about it years ago when they were never talking about it. So I don't know. I just like listening to I guess left propaganda. It's nice.
So why would you call it propaganda, right? So those are guys who used to work for the Obama thing, and I don't know if they purport to be journalists, right? They're a podcast. What would you call it? They're like an entertainment show about politics, right? And then sometimes they also contribute to canvassing and things like that when it's election season. But would you think that people would say that they are journalists? I would not call them journalists. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I would. I mean, I'm under the impression that people actually get their news from Pod Save America. I wouldn't be surprised if.
Okay. And so now, Billy, so you said left propaganda. So when you look out at the world, what do you believe is propaganda in our society, and what do you believe isn't propaganda in our society?
Yeah, I think a lot of it is propaganda. I think there's propaganda from both the right and the left. Me personally, I wouldn't consider myself a Republican. I think a lot of the Republicans that are in the House and in the Senate are just as corrupt as people on the left. And I want to vote them out. But obviously I'm only in New York, so I can only affect my state. But yeah, I would support the primarying of even Republicans, most of them.
So
That's
everybody
great. Yeah,
who's
I mean, it
tuning
sounds
into
like
the show right now on TikTok, on Substack. So yesterday we had a conversation with someone. This is I'm not really prepared for this conversation. But so yesterday we had a conversation with someone on our TikTok stream, and they were challenging Rev Deuce as Rev Deuce tried to talk about our media and information ecosystem. And this person was definitely well versed in the jujitsu of talking to someone who is non-MAGA about what's happening in the world. And so when he wanted to level set with me, and he asked me like how I feel about the Russia hoax, that the media, if I believe that mainstream media is not in the tank for the Democrats, is what he asked me. He said, if I believe that mainstream media is not in the tank for the Democrats, well, what do I think about how they pushed the Russia hoax for so long? And I responded to the young man by saying that here's what I'm aware of when it comes to Russia. And it was a long time ago, right, gang? It was so long ago, and we all have lives, and we don't stew in a media ecosystem that keeps our brains like hyper focused on these things that are meant to like manipulate us into thinking that relitigating Russia is the most important thing at a time when Christian nationalist billionaires. I mean, yes, Vladimir Putin is a threat, and he wants to destroy our faith in democracy, and he wants to destroy our faith in institutions. And so it creates AI bots that go into the comments of all our social media posts that we happen to see, who spread attitudes and ideas about our political situation, spread cynicism and doubt and distrust in institutions like academia and all of those things. And yes, there's a coordination there in terms of a similar aim. I mean, I don't mean coordination like actual coordination, but there is a coming together of across purposes of people like Charlie Kirk, who are largely funded by Christian nationalist billionaires, and people like Vladimir Putin, who basically just want to undermine trust and faith in institutions like academia, as Charlie Kirk does, to recast Christianity as something that is, pro-violence, pro-gun, pro-unaliving the disfavored, all of these things, right? And so I don't need to relitigate Russia, but what I know about Russia and what happened is that Paul Manafort was the campaign advisor of Vladimir Putin's handpicked candidate for Ukraine, Viktor Yanukovych. And then his very next job in political campaigning was to be Donald Trump's, campaign manager. And then a 2020 Senate report revealed that Paul Manafort had given voter data to a Russian operative. So there's no planet on which there isn't something weird and shady about that. And either way, we know that Russia was involved in trying to skew the election towards Trump in 2016. So I can't remember all the problems with the Robert Mueller report. I can't remember all those things off the top of my head, but I just have this guy kind of yelling at me about like what a hypocrite I am or all those kinds of things. And so it's tough to be aware of the jujitsu that you need to have in the moments with these folks who are stewing in a world where it's like they are being reminded of things all the time to use in conversations, I guess, with their friends and family, but to also keep them on this train of there's nothing good to ever come out of mainstream media. All mainstream media is liberal and biased towards the Democratic Party. All of these things that just aren't true, right? There's no bias towards the Democratic Party in the way that they cover Dems as Dems in disarray constantly, all of that stuff. But it's tough when you're talking to someone who is, constitutionally arrayed against you and doesn't want to discuss things with like nuance, and just if you say something like, well, here's the thing that I think about Russia, and then before you even get that far, they go, oh, see, here we go. You know what I mean? It's just not even a way to have a conversation with people. And so if there are folks still watching in the Substack, we want you to invite you to come over to twitch.tv/Public Enlightenment. And if you are here today in the YouTube or Twitch, please say something. Hello, we would love to talk to you. So it just speaks to this reality that Rev Deuce has to be getting better and working harder and trying to, pardon me for that, try to, figure it out. Try to figure out how to, hey, Emma, amazing to have you here. Hey, Miles, just try to figure out how. So I think the next time I'm toe-to-toe with the MAGA folks and they want to bring up Russia and the Russia hoax by the media, I would like to basically say, hey, I don't really care about that. It's not how I'm making my decisions right now. I'm here to talk to you about your information diet and what it means and how you're stewing in disinformation largely. So you can keep your critique of the mainstream media with regards to Russia. If it conforms with my critique of the mainstream media as mostly profit-seeking before all else. And so if they were making money by talking about Russia and advancing different stories and things that were dropping and coming out, that is just our information ecosystem. It is not necessarily a purpose-built thing. And then I would play my video that I made about Jesse Waters talking about the rights information warfare on everyone who's non-MAGA. So that's what I've arrived at. You didn't really come and watch the program today so that you could hear me talk about my strategies. But so let me pull up some things for us to talk about today and get involved with before we do go over to TikTok at, at 10 a.m. because we are trying out TikTok now. Now, I just want to share this with everybody really quick. This is, I kind of like this. I have to, sorry, I made my screen so, excuse me. I made my screen so dumb looking for that thing that I just thought I would start the show with. And I'll tell you what, it didn't work. So here we go. Oh my goodness gracious. So I just think that this is funny and I think you should share this.
Alex, why did you transition? I don't know about for others, but for me, it's because I really felt the need to dominate women's Olympic rugby. I want to take up women's space. I want to get the pointy rugby ball and throw it at their face. I want to join a women's book club and pitch Jordan Peterson every day. And if they try to argue with me, I'll get loud and say they're gay. 'Cause the main objective of all trans people is to mess with people who want trans people.
Sure.
That's our one and only dream.
Yeah.
I'll be a women's chess grandmaster with my supermanly brain.
9 a.m.
Then I'll win a women's beauty pageant with my super masculine frame. I'll put hormones in your salads, sneak estrogen into a school.
What is that?
And replace the women's toilets with one big urinal. Yeah. A lot of people ask, they're like, Alex, why did you transition?
So I think, can you hear me? I think I tried to mute my mic and it didn't work. So if you heard the conversation I had with my fiance, that's great. But so I think that this is important messaging, right? We're always talking about like how we can be fact warriors, but also how we can spread persuasive information about our world to push back on, these horrific scapegoating arguments that tell our MAGA friends and loved ones and neighbors that, their biggest problem is trans people in the face of, obvious corruption and self-enrichment that's going on. You've heard that a million times from me before. But so I would like you to share this and spread this and be a fact warrior and be a participant in the information war. So we have reposted that on our TikTok, and you can go to our TikTok and repost that. And all of those reposts are vetted for you to do that sort of thing. So let's go to the next one here. I just thought this was
flights. And
Ridiculous.
Then, this is a meme that I love. It's a man pointing at a brain, and it says, "No thanks, I won't be needing that because I believe everything the legacy media shows." So, look.
So, I mean, this is our press secretary in the White House who is telling some influencer, I guess this woman, Kate Max, who got a lot of pushback for interviewing a propagandist for a fascist regime. But so this is our press secretary who chooses to have on her little bulletin board.
Look, we
right?
want critical thinking around here. You started lights, and
She
then
doesn't
this
have a
is
lot of
meme that
things. And she says, this is a meme that I love. And she printed it out. I mean, printing out memes is pretty funny. But here we go.
I love. It's a man pointing at a brain, and it says, "No thanks, I won't be needing that because."
No thanks, I won't be needing that. I believe everything the legacy media shows. So this speaks to what I was talking about with my conversation with this gentleman earlier today, or yesterday, where these are the messages that they're getting. They're getting these messages that sort of serve their ego, where it's a message of, yeah, you're better than every left non-MAGA idiot because they are just so dumb that they don't even critically think, right? And it is very effective propaganda because if you are being, like, no one else is telling you this. This is not, like, even though this could be something that could be applied to MAGA folks, and this could have been something that, what is her name? Karen Jean-Pierre, I don't remember, Jen Psaki, you know, they could, I guess, have given a tour of their office in the White House and said, you know, no thanks, I won't be needing that. I believe everything Fox News tells me. But, like, that's just not how, like, professionals in society work. And when this is the kind of attitude and behavior of the press secretary, you know, of a country that nominally believes in press freedom and freedom of speech, it is just kind of wild stuff to be your way of handling yourself and talking to other people and talking about information and talking about journalism. Yes, like some of the worst versions of journalism are the people who are in the White House press briefing room because they are largely going to behave in an obsequious manner, and they are going to want to, especially now because we have this fascist regime that wants to, you know, replace fact-based journalists with propagandists, and so there is a real threat there. But, like, if you are, you know, if you are talking to the people in this manner and you are undermining press freedom and you are undermining fact-based institutions, regardless of if their journalists are going to be access-seeking and less critical of you in your meetings, it's just antithetical to everything that's happening in journalism, or sorry, that journalism is supposed to be about, and a respect by the government in a democracy that espouses free speech and freedom of the press. It's just a total lack of disrespect for this pillar of democracy. So we also wanted to show this from Chris Van Hollen.
Senator Van Hollen. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Secretary, you and I served.
This is a long clip, so I'm going to kind of advance it.
And while you've turned away from a genocide in Sudan and invented one in South Africa, you teamed up with President Trump to throw the Ukrainian people under the bus and have been played like a fiddle by Vladimir Putin. Of course, Donald Trump not only said he would end the war in Ukraine on day one, he also said he would end the war in Gaza on day one. And yet last week, you were all running around to Gulf states, giving away very sensitive American AI and ships technology, but doing nothing to end the war in Gaza and get the remaining hostages returned. You know that for 78 days, the Netanyahu government did not allow a scrap of food to enter Gaza to reach over 2 million civilians. 57 children have died from malnutrition so far, and more than 14,000 children are in imminent danger of dying of starvation. As Cindy McCain said last week, and I quote, Families in Gaza are starving while the food they need is sitting at the border. That is a gross violation of both U.S. and international law. What did you do? Nothing. Not once did you publicly call upon the Netanyahu government to end the blockade. Fortunately, other countries spoke out, and now we see a tiny trickle going in. Where have you focused your energy instead, Mr. Secretary? Well, your first trip as Secretary of State was to El Salvador, not to promote democracy, but to cozy up to President Bukele, who calls himself the world's coolest dictator. The result was a cash for collusion deal to deprive people living in America of their constitutional rights to due process. The Supreme Court, in a 9-0 decision, instructed you to facilitate the return to the United States of Abrego Garcia, who the administration admitted was wrongfully deported to El Salvador. Your response? You've openly flouted judicial orders. When asked whether you have been in touch with El Salvador to return Abrego Garcia, you boasted, quote, "I would never tell you that. And you know who else I would never tell? A judge." Clearly, you don't care about the Fifth Amendment right to due process, and you don't care about the First Amendment either, since you've been very busy snatching students off of college campuses for exercising their right to free speech. You dredged up a relic from the McCarthy era to claim that student protesters posed a threat to the foreign policy of the United States. Give me a break, Mr. Secretary. You know as well as I do this isn't about national security, it's about punishing free speech. And you know that in America, the government doesn't get to use its power to punish speech it doesn't like. Yet in March, you boasted about revoking student visas, saying, and I'm quoting, "We do it every day. Every time I find one of these lunatics, I take away their visa," unquote. Let's look at one of those lunatics, Mr. Secretary, Ms. Ozturk. Her crime was co-authoring an op-ed in her college paper critical of Tufts University's response to the war in Gaza. Your own department found zero links to terrorism, no anti-Semitic statements, but you still yanked her visa and shipped her off to detention in Louisiana. And the list goes on and on. The federal judge in the case of Mohsen Madawi, who was the Columbia student who was ambushed by federal agents at his citizenship appointment, said, and I quote, this is the judge, "Legal residents not charged with crimes or misconduct are being arrested and threatened with deportation for stating their views on the political issues of the day. Our nation has seen times like this before, especially during the Red Scare and Palmer raids. Like the McCarthy-era witch hunts of the 1950s, your campaign of fear and repression is eating away at foundational values of our democracy."
So we're watching this because of what's about to happen. And we want to look at what is going on with Marco Rubio, what has happened to him. Obviously, there has been a deep change in Marco Rubio. Not that he was ever really that great, but like a deep change. And he has really like almost been injected with the MAGA politician bellicosity and insouciance and immaturity and just belligerence. And it's really remarkable to see. And we also want to applaud Chris Van Hollen, who is standing up for American rights and the rights of everyone on U.S. soil. So here it goes. Here he's about to do the thing. He's about to do it.
Back then, it took one voice, Attorney Joseph Welch, to cut through the hysteria with the simple question that marked the beginning of the end of that shameful era. He asked Senator McCarthy, "Have you no sense of decency?" And I would ask you the same, Secretary Rubio. You have shown through your words and your actions what the answer is. And I have to tell you directly and personally that I regret voting for you for Secretary of State. I yield back.
May I respond?
You may sit.
Well, first of all, your regret for voting for me confirms I'm doing a good job, based on what I know.
Well, that's
about
just
your
a
record
flippant
and what you
statement,
stand
Mr.
for.
Secretary.
And I respond.
Based on what I know about your record and what you stand for. Standing up for American rights is currently the record. What else is he talking about?
4 months ago, you sat in that chair.
What happened?
And you
No.
said that China is
Oh,
quote,
no, what
the
happened?
most potent and dangerous near-peer
What the hell happened?
adversary this nation.
Damn it. Hold on, we're going to go right back to it.
Senator Van Hollen.
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. We spent 220.
I'd
like to. I can't respond to everything he said because, first of all, your regret for voting for me confirms I'm doing a good job, based on what I know.
Well, that's
about
just
your
a
record
flippant
and what you've
statement,
been
Mr.
doing.
Secretary.
Can I respond, Mr. Chairman?
You
Mr.
may.
Chairman?
I didn't
Okay.
ask the
Senator,
question.
please let the Secretary have
I'd be
the floor.
happy to, but then I can respond to his.
Your time's up, Senator, and willfully used, I might add.
Well-
Your remarks do not represent the view of this committee.
Well, Mr.
Secretary, please.
Well, I'd like to. I can't respond to everything he said because much of these are untrue, but I'll go through a few. First of all, I'm actually very proud of the work we've done with USAID. For example, I don't regret cutting $10 million for male circumcisions in Mozambique. I don't know how that makes us stronger and more prosperous as a nation.
I
don't regret
Sudan,
psychosocial support
What aboutism?
services.
I
for
raised
USAID.
Sudan, Mr. Secretary.
Can I
not
respond, Mr.
Mozambique.
Chairman,
Senator,
or do I?
Senator, I'd ask you to suspend. You had 7 straight minutes. Of
I chose
really
to
not-
use my time that way, Mr. Chairman. That's my right to
Please
use my
suspend
time
this
that way.
Secretary Rubio.
Well, I can go on. I mean, there's other things here. We spent $227,000 for Big Cat's YouTube channel from USAID. We spent $14 million for social cohesion in Mali, whatever the hell that means. So I can go on and on. I got the list here, and there's more. I didn't even bring the whole list. In the case
So Marco Rubio knows what that means, right? Marco Rubio used to talk about, America being on the global stage and being, the cohesive, leader of the global order and all of that kind of a thing. And so he understands why these things would have been passed and why those measures from USAID would be implemented. I'm not saying I support any of them one way or the other, but he knows. That's the point that I would like. So when he says, I don't know, whatever the hell that means, it's very Trumpian.
case of El Salvador, absolutely. Absolutely. We deported gang members, including the one.
So they didn't deport gang members. I mean, maybe they did a small percentage of the people that they, and again, it's not deportation. Sorry, it is exiling to a foreign labor camp for life. So they did exile to a foreign labor camp for life. I think the last figure is that 90% of these people had no criminal record whatsoever. And so, I mean, he's not lying, but he's ignoring what Chris Van Hollen just brought up. Chris Van Hollen brought up all of the people who are innocent of any crime other than seeking asylum in the United States. And Marco Rubio is, again, doing whataboutism.
One you had a margarita with. And that guy is.
And then he's also pushing this disinformation that he had a margarita with him, which Van Hollen immediately discounted, which was good to get out in front of that. They put these things in front of them while they were sitting and talking in an environment that they did not control, but that was controlled by the, the best dictator in the world, according to himself, Bukele.
A human trafficker, and that guy is a gangbanger, and the evidence is going to be clear in the days to come.
Mr.
You're
Chairman,
going to see who you went to.
So they don't have the evidence yet. Somehow they need to manufacture it. So that evidence is going to become clear. It has been months now. They have nothing to pin on Kilmar Obrega Garcia, and that's very telling. The evidence is going to become clear. There is no evidence. They haven't presented any evidence in court, the U.S. government.
Senator,
I'm sorry,
please,
Mr. Chairman.
Secretary
No.
Rubio has the floor.
Mr. Chairman, he can't make unsubstantiated comments
Senator,
like that.
Secretary Rubio has the floor. You've
Secretary
had your
Rubio
time.
should take that testimony to the federal court in the
Senator?
United States because
Well,
he hasn't done it under oath.
Here's another point, okay? There is a division in our government between the federal branch and the judicial branch. No judge in the judicial branch cannot tell me or the president how to conduct foreign policy. No judge can tell me how I have to outreach to a foreign partner or what I need to say to them. And if I do reach to that foreign partner and talk to them, I have under no obligation to share that with the judiciary branch. Just like a judge cannot order me to negotiate with a foreign minister of Russia, they cannot order me to negotiate with a foreign minister or the president of El Salvador. And if I did negotiate with them, which we have responded to them, and we've told them we've had communications with the president of El Salvador, I am under no obligation under our division of powers in this country and to share with the judicial branch how I conducted diplomacy of the United States. It would actually be counterproductive. If I started sharing with courts, or frankly, with the media, my conversations with foreign leaders and all of their details, no foreign leader would talk to me again, and we would break trust with them. So I have complied with every court order. What I won't comply with is an order to disclose what I'm saying and what we're talking about with a foreign leader, because then they won't talk to me. Diplomacy doesn't work that way. About the student visas, let me say this. I don't deport anybody, and I don't snatch anybody. The
I mean,
State
this is
Department does not
just
have
like
offices.
ridiculous. Like Van Hollen went over his language, went over his past statements where he said, like, yeah, we'll take away visas from everybody, all of those things. So for him to say, like, you know, I don't deport anybody or whatever, it's like you are part of the process. You are one of the cogs in the machine that goes along to determine who should be, you know, approached, who should be, you know, have their visas removed, all of those things. You know, the exiling process involves removing the protections like the visa from people. So pretty disingenuous from this guy.
In the street snatching everybody. What I do is revoke visas, and it's very simple. A visa is not a right; it is a privilege. People apply for student visas to come into the United States and study. And if you tell me that you're coming to the United States to lead campus crusades, to take over libraries and try to burn down buildings, and
so again, he's referencing Mahmoud Khalil when he's saying try to burn down buildings, because that's the case that we're talking about. That's the case that he's on about. Now, who's this? Hey, Mom Ro, hell yeah. So he's doing this, and you know, like it's just disgusting, really.
acts of violence, we're not going to give
Is
you
that
a
what Ms.
visa.
Ozturk did?
We're not going to give you
Is
a
that what she
visa, and if you
did?
do
Come
that-
on, Mr. Secretary.
And every single
You're
one of
just
these
blowing
cases, the
smoke
factors
here,
are
man.
different.
Senator-
The bottom line is, if you're
Senator,
coming here to stir up trouble on our campuses, we will deny you a visa. And if you
Does
have
the
a
First
visa
Amendment
and we find
apply
you,
to
we'll
people
revoke
living
it.
in the United
And
States?
we're going to do more. There are more coming. We're going to continue to revoke the visas of people who are here as guests and are disrupting
So
our
this
higher
is, we got to
education
go to the
system.
streets. Look at these giant dickheads. We got to go to the streets, everybody, okay? So are you going to the streets? You know what? I'm going to start going to the streets more. Let me get,
gotta
oh
go
my
to the
God, what a
street.
nightmare. Hall of Mirrors. I'm going to look up some protests right now, because these guys, that's enough.
God, what a
That's
nightmare.
enough
Hall
with
of
these
Mirrors.
guys. So pardon me, everybody. I'm going to look up some protests. So I'm going to go to my website here, and I'm going to go to 4 websites to find peaceful protests near you, so you can protest now and fight for your rights, make some content against the advice of some people you may know who tell you that you shouldn't do that. Now, why is this so jankily bankily? Oh, I know why it's so jankily bankily. Pardon me while I fix the jankily banklyness. Oh no, that's not the right button to hit. Excuse me, everyone. I'm just not having the best live stream this morning, and I apologize about that. You know, sometimes Rev Deuce stays up watching so many videos that he can then use in the show the next day that it's detrimental. It is detrimental to the conduct of the show. So here we go. Let's see here. Let's go down to one of the things. So in this article, you can find places to protest. You also find some good fact-based information. So let's see, buildtheresistance.org. Let's see. Do we have... So what does that mean, Jason? Jason is in the Substack chat saying he's trying to do a town hall in Philly, which is incredible. So what are you doing? You're reaching out to your... You're reaching out to your Congress people. You're reaching out to the senator who won't engage with you. What's going on? Tell us a little bit about that. If you want to call into the show, I know you're at work and you can't always, but okay. We can F with that. What is going on here? Build the resistance. Okay, actions. No, just give me the actions. Here we go. So, July 27th. This is demoralizing. Action, any type. Upcoming actions, date. So, there is really nothing going on this website. Is this true? This is... Wow. This is all the things that are on the docket at buildtheresistance.org. So, Jason says that he's reached out to Congresswoman Scanlon and awaiting word if she can. Okay, cool. And now, Jason, are you a member of any like sort of indivisible group or anything in your area? Because they might already be trying to do something like that. And you have power in numbers. You know what I mean? So this is demoralizing to see what's happening on Build the Resistance. So let's go over to Tesla Takedown. Are there any actions on the docket that they are talking about? Okay, Tesla Tuesdays. This is every Tuesday, so that happened yesterday all across the country. Okay, so I guess I will go to a Tesla. Oh, okay. Here's one, a Tesla Wednesday. Tesla Wednesday. So El Camino, Palo Alto, Paramus, North Carolina. And you could just do this on your own if you wanted to. So Jason says, it would be in the absence of Senator McCormick not having a town hall. Okay, well, that's awesome, Jason. That is so cool that you are engaging civically in that way. So this is demoralizing what we're learning here. And Jason, we want to get further updates on what's going on and how that's going. So big list of protests is maybe the one to start going to. So Cultural Diversity Day protest. Oh my goodness, our protest movement is really waning in this country, everybody. Stand Up for Democracy in New Orleans. That's on Magazine. I know where that neighborhood is. Mini protest for due process. Mini protest. I don't think you should ever. So New Orleans is coming out. Oregon is coming out. We've got stuff, the I-5 overpass, corner protest. Let's see what's going on in New York. Because even though it looks like I'm beaming to you from Boca Raton, it's not true. I'm not. So, Jason, I wonder if you are a member of any other civic organizations in your area. Let's see if there's anything tomorrow. All Out for Mahmood. Tomorrow, 5:30, Foley Square. Okay. I'm going to go to that. So let's see what that's about. So it seems like big list of protests is like the one right now. So I'm going to start telling people to go specifically to big list of protests. I can't believe 50101. Is this real? What? I'm clicking around because everybody who's listening to the program right now, you need to start protesting because it's getting to be really gnarly. I do want to share another thing with everyone before I go today. What time is it? Okay. And I know that the quality of today's program has not been up to my standards. But so, okay, this is Rev Deuce will be here tomorrow, May 22nd. Yeah, Emma, what's been happening is that I come on here and then I go to TikTok. And then yesterday I had a lot of success on TikTok. And it's not no shade or shame against any of the beautiful people who come to this program in the morning. But I went on TikTok. I've been doing an hour here, and then I go to TikTok for an hour. And then yesterday at 4 p.m. I went on TikTok, and I had a very successful time where we were able to talk to some MAGA folks, and we were able to bring some new folks into the fold. So that was very exciting for your old pal Rev Deuce. So, Jason, we're so excited about your civic engagement. And so what is everyone doing? I don't know. Is it 4 p.m., Momro? And what is everyone doing to protest in this time? If you are doing any sort of civic action in addition to what Jason is talking about, I would love to hear about it because it is past time for us to be engaging in that way in the face of everything that we are contending with as a nation. Now, let me go and take a look-see at what I have filed away for us to talk about. And then I want to share something from a Substack account called Critical Resistance, which kind of blows my mind. So this is Donald Trump saying, oh, okay, I just flagged this because if I talk to a MAGA person, I want to talk to them about just the absolute propaganda that world that they live in. Donald Trump is here saying that he thinks he would have won California and he would have won New York if we had honest elections. So the big lie is something this guy still is telling all the time. Gavin Newsom. I mean, hey, MAGA friends and loved ones, are you kidding my daddy? Like, this guy is a ridiculous figure. JB's going nowhere, probably the worst governor in the country. Like, no one talks like this. And I know where it's past time. Who do we got calling into the program? Is this a real call? Hello?
I think I have the wrong number.
Okay, well, have a great day.
Oh, is this Deuce?
Yeah. What's your? Yeah,
Hey, it's Jason Dyer.
Jason. You thought you had the wrong number.
Yeah, I don't know, because like I looked at it, I was like, what the hell? Like, it didn't sound like it. I'm so sorry.
Do you know what's funny? No, Jason, I'm so grateful for the call. Do you know what's funny is if I thought I don't immediately recognize your voice because I'm not watching you live stream all day every day. But so I was gonna go. But wait, sir, what's your media diet? So okay, anyway. Jason, thank you for calling into the program. I've got your back, reaching across the internet to get your back. So what do you want to talk about?
So it'll be quick. I am at work, unfortunately. So, yeah, I've just had enough, and I'm going to try to do this town hall, hopefully with congressional and potentially anybody who wants to be there. I mean, I would even invite you if I can get this off the ground, if you'd want to come and do a table, and you can do some talking. We got to do something. I mean, something's got to change in this country. I mean, people are just not awake. They're asleep and they're confused and I don't know. But I figure it's at least something I can do. I reached out to a couple of people. It wouldn't be necessarily the most traditional, but I'm thinking maybe having different like LGBTQ, homelessness charters, and just bring awareness. The more awareness we can bring to all these different things, because we're ultimately going to need each other's back in this. That's what it's coming down to.
Jason,
that's why I'm doing it.
That is so beautiful. But so I was asking you in the chat, and it's amazing. That's amazing, and I want to know. I was asking you in the chat, or I was with my voice. You were in the chat. I was asking you, are you working with anybody? Are you trying to build coalition in order to get the attention of the congressperson?
I need to. Again, I'm doing this in a very grassroots, very unconventional way. So I do need to get more insight. So I was looking at some things online, but I haven't. I mean, this is still something down the line. I mean, I would try to do this maybe by beginning or middle of the summer, if possible. No guarantees. But again, I've been working with at least the Congress people, and then I was going to reach out to some Substack people, like maybe yourself. Just again, to have like maybe 15, 20 minutes talk, express, maybe have a table. But yeah, I haven't worked with those groups because I don't really know how to do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I pulled up on the screen, and now I'm trying to drop it into the thing because what a nightmare. It can't be smooth. But so you should really look into getting into. Are you a member of Philadelphia Indivisible?
You know what? I had to look into it some more. To be honest, no, I'm not. So that's the long and short of it.
Yeah. So I mean, indivisible groups are going to have more clout than just one guy. I mean, you're a great guy. Everyone knows what a great guy you are. You're doing incredible things. But like, indivisible groups are going to have more clout. One that's of a major city like Philadelphia is going to have like more clout and more reach, and you are going to be able to take your amazing energy, and they're going to be so grateful for your amazing energy, and you are going to probably be able to spearhead this effort with the help and aid of people who have done things like this before and who are accustomed to trying to make something like this happen. So just taking a quick look at what's happening in the Indivisible Philadelphia website, they're talking about, well, this looks pretty dormant, but they said Indivisible Philadelphia in the news. Okay, in the news. So CNN's Eva McKen speaks with Democratic voters in Pennsylvania. So I guess they are trying to get out there as only so far as 2 months ago, they are, getting some news coverage of themselves, or they are being involved in trying to be part of the media process. So that is cool. Let's see what their events are. And if you have to get off the phone because you're at work, I understand. But do you have anything else that you want to say? Okay, cool.
I mean, not a minute, but I mean, whatever time. I'm going to be painfully aware of your time. You know what I mean?
Don't be worried. Don't worry about my time, man. I mean, look, this is what I do. So this is what we're doing, and this is some of the better stuff we could be doing. So, for instance, they have faced the facts with Fetterman, rally, and march. So let's find out what that is. Maybe they're trying to goad Fetterman into, what does this say? Does this join us for a rally and march every Friday? We start at Independence. We demand that Senator Fetterman stand up for our democracy and for us. Bring your signs, your voices, and your energy. Okay, so they are doing an action on Friday. You could go out there if you're available at 4 p.m. Maybe you're not because it's a work day, but so every Friday Okay, so every Friday they're doing a rally and a march, which probably like goes, for at least an hour. Thursday, there's an Indivisible Bucks County monthly meeting. So this is not the most active, but maybe they have an active Substack. They have a button up here to host an event. And they definitely, with like your level of energy, like all of these things are volunteer. So with your level of energy, you're going to be quickly involved with a group of people who are waiting for someone like you and your energy to, and they will be ready to aid you with resources. I'm fairly certain of it. And so I would just that would be a piece of advice that I would give you. But of course, you do it however you want to do it.
Well, no, I mean, advice is partially why I called. I'm open to the full experience, to whatever it is. I'm open to anything. Like I said, I don't know if it would be like the most traditional thing, but my thought around it was like just to open awareness. We can open up more awareness to homelessness, LGBT, Black Lives Matter, any of that, kind of throw it into one big vat, and then just have people there to kind of speak, kind of open forum, kind of like the town hall. So again, it's a little unconventional, but unconventional is kind of how I work. I don't really, I don't like to put things too standard, because then, it's just like everybody else. I mean, of course it wouldn't be like free jazz. It would just be more, open, let it breathe, and let people have a say, because I can't do this anymore. I can't wake up every morning and know that this is happening. I mean, homeless people, like I'm on the transit when I go into work, and people have needles in their arm. I mean, and this guy just put another $1 billion into Bitcoin, or $1 million into Bitcoin, McCormick. I mean, this guy's the biggest.
His own personal money? You're following his money?
Well, I mean, it says what he's trading. I mean, I'm on this guy like a hawk, because, I mean, it's public domain. It's not like, what I mean? It's public knowledge. It's just like if you look on the internet, it shows he's put that much money, posted that much money in. So, this guy is not for us. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. Yes, absolutely, 100%.
I'm not like obsessing about it. I just, periodically I'll take a look. Okay, I've taken a look. I've read. Okay, so now this guy's put $1 million into Bitcoin, and he's a part of this committee. Like, where is he helping people? You took out Bob Casey, who'd been there forever, and this is what we get in return. So. Yeah,
I mean, look, like you should obsess about it, man. You know what I mean? And it's like, don't feel bad if you are obsessing about it, right? Like, it's been the obsessive people who have, won rights for Americans. It's been the obsessive people who have never stopped working. It's been the obsessive people who have, been the champions of democracy and the champions of change in this country. So, like, don't ever feel bad for 1 second about being the person that you are in this time. Literally, fascism has come to America, and, I'm so scared and demoralized by what I see when I go toe to toe with people on, TikTok, for instance, who are just stewing in this other world. I mean, yesterday, this guy, Jason, was like, it was all whataboutism. It was all about like, well, tell me, you think the media isn't liberal? Well, what about the Russia hoax and how and it's like, that's just, that was a piece of news. That was news, but you can't talk to someone about that. Like, the Mueller report was ongoing. They're going to report on that. It was probably getting them ratings. Like, look, I'll meet you where you are. Like, yes, there are problems with mainstream media, but it wasn't a hoax. You are being told, and you're bringing that up to me, like 6 years later after it was put to bed or whatever. Like, I'm not here talking to you about that, right? And so that's like what we're contending with, you know what I mean? But Jason, I want to direct your attention while I have you on the phone. I looked up with ChatGPT, which again, we have to be careful when we use these things, but I've started to use it because it helps me do research and find clips that I can use in my videos and stuff. But so, People's Town Halls Initiative, okay? So Democratic National Committee along with the DCCC. So is not McCormick, but is the congressperson, they're a Democrat, right?
Yes, in Delaware County, which is where I live.
Scanlon.
I work in the city. Yeah,
okay.
Scanlon. She's amazing.
So they've launched a nationwide campaign called People's Town Halls. These events are held in districts represented by Republicans, especially where GOP lawmakers have reduced or ceased in-person town halls. So that's the thing that we're all aware of, right? Because when we're on social media and we see those things where it's like they're organizing town halls in a different place. So, that's not precisely what you're talking about. You're talking about actually getting your member of Congress. So let's just look this up. What's her first name?
Mary Gay. It's Mary Gay Scanlon. I'm supposed to call her secretary today at some point, and she's going to give me her email, and she wants me to email her what I have planned. And she said she would work with me to see. She was very clear. She was like, "There's no promises, no promises, no promises." I'm like, "Listen, I get it." So just like I said it to you right there, like 4 times in a row, I just simply said, "I get it."
Yeah, that was her. That was her like constituent liaison person.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a town hall. So she's hosting a town hall, or she'll be a special guest at a town hall hosted by State Rep Leanne Kruger on Tuesday.
I think that's someone in my district, Kruger. But anyway, I'm sorry, it's inconsequential.
No, it's not inconsequential. She will also be hosting a town hall at Academy Park High School in Sharon Hill.
That's where I grew up.
Oh, that was on April 5th. Hold on. So that was in the past. But so she's out there doing this kind of a thing. So the other thing you could think about, Jason, is you may find a Republican-held district near you as well, and try to get in touch with this. It seems like there's lots of energy for this, people's town halls thing that's happening, right? Where they're bringing Democrats to Republican districts. But anyway, overall, what I'm hearing is you have the energy to put together this event. And look, I mean, if you want me to be there and you think I could help by being there, I guess having a table and talking about issues of media, and maybe put out a placard and say, fascism came to America because of propaganda. Debate me or prove me wrong. What is it that there's that meme where it's like, prove me wrong or whatever? Yeah. Look, I'm happy to do it. 99 miles to Philly from New York City, and look, let's go, baby. That would be fun.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely, and I think it's again, it would be, potentially you could even speak if you wanted to, like if you wanted to speak in front of a crowd. I mean, I want this to be kind of like I said, organic, rootsy, but very time conscientious of those things, and the norms. I mean, I don't want anyone going out there and being like nutty. It's not going to help them.
Well, I mean, dude, look at who you're inviting. Look at me.
You're not nutty, bro. You're the guy that I want to talk to. You're the guy that needs to get out there. I don't think you're nutty. I think you're just throwing some energy in this, and you're keeping people captivated, which is good.
Yeah, thank you, man.
I don't think you're nutty. I think I like your style. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I don't think I'd be listening to it every day.
Right on. Hell yeah.
But yeah, and again, I don't want to monopolize your time. I want you to go out there and do the good work, but I will definitely keep you posted. Because I've even tried to reach out to Michael Fanone, who you probably know. He was one of the cops too. Yeah, I sent a message to him. He said, "Let me know. Can't promise anything." I mean, a lot of people are doing that, but again, these "let me knows" are a lot better than, dude, whatever, man. I'm a busy guy, or I'm a busy woman. So,
absolutely.
So I mean, again, even if it's a one-day thing, and then maybe around, God, Lord willing, the next person who's either going to be elected or the next time something pops off in Philly, it can be, hey, why don't we reach out to that guy Jay? I don't want this for accolades. I mean, maybe I'll do some talking. Maybe I'll put my email on a projector that I sent to McCormick, which again to this day is the most gut-wrenching thing I've ever written. It wasn't even that sad. It was just gut-wrenching to hear someone like basically pleading, I know you're a Republican, but something's going on in the world. And, never a response. So, yeah, again, we'll be in contact, and I definitely will keep you posted. You'll see my name pop up on your Substack. So, and I've been trying to disseminate your information as best I can to others. But those that are willing will open up. But
I love that, man. I'm so grateful. I'm so appreciative of you, Jason, and I need you to know how grateful and appreciative I am. That's so awesome.
Oh, no worries, man. You're good people. I can tell. So. I just, like I said, I just want to give you a quick call on that, and I want you to go out there and do the good work.
Hell yeah, buddy! I love that.
You're good.
I love that you.
I know you're going to do it.
Yeah, I am going to do it. I love that you followed that energy too. Just like, let me just freaking call him right now, So I'm grateful for that.
No problem, man. And like I said, these aren't just hollow words. I'm going to do everything I can, even if it's maybe the first time I make the call, it's like nothing. The second time, it's a little bit more substantial, and then the third time, we're like, yeah, we can get him board with this, whoever it is. So, again, I'll definitely keep you posted. This is not an overnight thing. I'm thinking this is probably going to be a June thing. So,
Okay,
I mean,
cool.
June, July, maybe, But yeah, I'll keep you posted for sure.
Great. Sounds awesome, man.
All right, well, you and everyone else enjoy the rest of your day. I know you're going to go out there on the other formats. I try not to jump around too much on formats, so I apologize for that in advance, but I'm here for you on Substack.
Hell yeah, dude. I really appreciate it. And I'm sorry that I'm not staying on longer on Substack these days. I'm trying to, I need to grow, so I need to go where I'm feeling like the most growth. But, I'm buoyed by the people who do come into Substack. Rose Tony is back here. All these people are back here. So thank you, man.
Nah, no worries, man. You have a great rest of your day, and I'll be watching tomorrow.
Thanks, man. I'll be here.
All right, man. Talk to you soon.
Okay. That is Jason. Jason is, a great guy. Jason is someone who is fighting the good fight on behalf of all of us, and that is so amazing. Look, it's so interesting, too, because I talked to people, one of the MAGA people I talked to yesterday, they were like, look, a lot of these Republican politicians got to go. They're corrupt, too. I believe he probably was talking about quote-unquote rhinos who are resisting the Trump fascism. But at the same time, there's energy that people have. And it's so interesting how that energy, based on our experiences in life and our psychological wiring, lead us to either have like the same kind of energy, but that energy fights for democracy, and that same kind of energy, and that energy fights for fascism. So we're so grateful for Jason and his ability to look out at the world and whatever his experiences in life have been, that he understands, it's not good versus bad, right? In the sense of our fellow loved ones and neighbors, but that there is a movement of evil, I guess you could call it. I don't really want to call it that. A movement of oppression, of persecution, of domination, of bigotry, of violence and cruelty that is wrapped up in a aim of creating a theocracy in this country, something that is very un-Christ-like, something that is very anti-democratic. And you have people who, because of their information stream, are fighting for fascism, and people who, because of their information stream and their experiences, are fighting against fascism. And so we are grateful for Jason for doing that, for fighting against fascism, and for being fed up and tired of what's happening. And we also want to give a shout out to our toddler viewers. So I got the most adorable video. I respect my friend who sent it to me, and I will not show his child waving to me. But basically, I got the most adorable video ever yesterday of a child waving to the computer, which, we could judge my buddy. We could judge you for exposing his child to screens at such an early age. I can't believe I said that. I don't want to judge you, but I am some of the most educational programming that a young brain could be exposed to, and so I got the cutest video ever of this little boy waving, and he goes, "Hi, dears," and it was the cutest thing I've ever seen in my life. Now, what I want to direct you to is something very not cute, Helena Silva, something very uncute, which is Russ Vogt. Russ Vogt, do I have to pronounce his name like that? I pronounce Caroline Leave It. I say Caroline Leave It because she's like a dog with a bone with that propaganda, and you got to go leave it. But so Russ Vogt is basically the architect of the Christian nationalist billionaire takeover, and he is working behind the scenes in our government. So I need everybody. So I just restacked this. So if you're on Substack, you can go grab that as a restack. But so how to break the blueprint, a tactical guide to Russ Vogt's 180-day power grab. So this is from Critical Resistance. And so Rev Deuce needs to do a disclaimer. Rev Deuce does not know who this person is. Rev Deuce appreciates the writing that they have done, but I have no idea if this is like who this is. I'm not going to get conspiratorial about who this is. These are the other things they write about. They write about 4 everyday acts of economic resistance, Russ Vogt and the paperwork revolution, the strategist no one voted for, how to dismantle Stephen Miller. So, but what's interesting is that this almost seems like this is written for people who have the ability to do something. This seems like it's written by someone who basically is fed up with like the Democratic program, or basically has a window into the Democratic program and wants to try to influence how they resist in this time against fascism, right? And so this is a really fascinating, I don't know who this person is or how they have the time and ability to write all of this. But so what this is it talks about how Russ Vought doesn't hold rallies or dominate headlines. Instead, he quietly yields immense power from inside the federal bureaucracy, reshaping America's democracy through obscure memos and carefully timed purges. His tools aren't fiery speeches, they're clocks, schedules, and silence. So they've got a flair for writing, and then they outline, what he's up to. And, there's a world that exists in our information ecosystem and online where there are people who write flowerily and who are able to, sort of distract from what we should be doing by, putting it all into this like resistance language. I'm not going to say blue MAGA, but like there are distracting kind of agents out there. This account has quickly grown to over 15,000 followers on Substack. This is the way that they talk. They say we have proof that delay can dismantle this silent operation. So this is very like hope, and some people might even call it hopium, but I would not call it that. I think that it is important to outline these kinds of things for people. So when Vote froze critical funding, 11 state attorneys general, local hospitals, and even church-run shelters pushed back hard. Within 48 hours, the freeze collapsed. Under public pressure, delay is possible, and delay wins. So this is like pro-involving yourself in democratic movements and democratic, action. But the thing is that like this guide is like written in this interesting, weird sort of way, I think, but I guess it's pretty practical. It's like a field guide to how to take this guy down. So this guide gives you everything you need to know to slow Vought's operation, a psychological blueprint, understand what drives him and what rattles him, proven pressure points, real-world case studies where public attention and legal challenges forced retreats, 5 tactical wires, cut or slow these wires and you stall his entire operation, messaging frames, turn the spotlight directly onto Vought, stripping away his cover behind louder figures like Trump, because he really is, doing a lot of the damage, audience-specific plays, tools and messaging tailored for everyone from attorneys general to local newsrooms, because distributed threats require distributed resistance. So, for instance, Jason, can I post this Substack? What do you mean, Jason? But Jason, I was going to direct my attention to you and tell you that, this might be something helpful for you to read in your conversations with the Congress members that you're dealing with. And it might require you, they don't really go too much into Russ Vought's background, but they talk about like his psychology. You know what I mean? Like this is pretty intense. Rigid need for control and certainty, aversion to public exposure. Vought carefully maintains anonymity, relying on the cover of louder, more controversial figures. This deliberate invisibility likely indicates a strong fear of scrutiny, exposure, or direct accountability. So there's all kinds of assumptions that go on in this, but I think it is I think important to understand these people, and this person is purporting to offer an understanding of him. He operates quietly because being seen clearly with all actions openly linked to him represents a genuine psychological threat. It also, represents a programmatic threat or a threat to his program. Keeping Vought consistently named and spotlighted forces him out of comfort, reducing his operational effectiveness and potentially causing him to withdraw or pause operations. Oh, yeah. Well, you're right, Jason. I need to be doing a better job of uploading those. You know that I upload those to Mega Church of Joy tab on the Substack, right? Right over here.
I need to be
So up here, Mega Church of Joy, and then you click on that, and then May 16th is the last one, so I do need to start posting those. And who's even liking these? Interesting, fascinating. I love that. Gwendolyn Berry, welcome into the program today. We have been discussing most recently Russ Vought, a baking powder. I apologize about the Hall of Mirrors. But so we've been discussing Russ Vought, and where is this Substack now? Here we go. And this critical resistance thing. You can also find them on YouTube as well, Jason. But they, if I haven't posted it, like they auto load to YouTube, so you can also see them on YouTube. Because I'm just doing a bad job. I mean, I'm doing everything I can, but it's too much for me to handle, obviously. So dependency on structured networks. So this whole thing, and I mean, I think you should check out Critical Resistance overall. I say everything that you read here, you should kind of do other research and take with a grain of salt. But it is very fascinating, and I wonder who is making it. I just wonder who's making it. There's a lot of people who criticized, like Mueller, she wrote, for instance, as being someone who was sort of distracting people, someone who sort of, was sort of keeping people's eyes off of the prize by focusing so heavily on, like, well, just this next revelation is what will, from the Mueller report, will, take him down or whatever. And ultimately that was distracting. So I'm just going to ask really quick, who is behind Mueller, she wrote, and what are the critiques of that account and its its distraction from concrete action to resist the Trump administration. And then I'm going to go. This was not as informative of a program as normal, but what we did discuss was how everyone needs to be protesting, about how it seems like protests are falling off, and how big list of protests, blop.org. Where is it? Big list of protests. Theblop.org is where it seems like you can find the best information about protests currently. So I'm going to be attending this one tomorrow, Thursday, in Foley Square. Yes, and. So let me go back to the question I just asked of AI. Hell yeah, Momro, you are so cool, and I love you. So what time do I go? I usually am already there, so I usually go at around 10. And then yesterday I went on at 4 p.m. And in general, I am free at that time. And so I'm going to keep trying to go on at 4 p.m. It was very successful. And basically it turned into a debate TikTok. The thing is I don't want it to be debate TikToks, but that was wildly successful for us. And so, I've refocused it at all times onto... Now, Mom Ro, where do you live? Because we want to do this for you right now. Is a political podcast launched in 2017 focusing on the Mueller investigation. Mueller, she wrote, has garnered dedicated following. Some critics argue that the podcast occasionally delves into speculation, which may blur the line between informed analysis and conjecture. Merchandising and monetization. It's questioned whether it prioritizes profit over activism. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's just a little quick window. And we don't always want to rely on ChatGPT. So do you live in Eastern Oregon? Like east of, like, do you live in Desert Oregon, or do you live in, I know you don't necessarily want to say, but so we're going to go to the big list of protests because everyone needs to be protesting. Okay. So everyone needs to be protesting. The reality is, folks, so you probably live in a red portion of Oregon as well. So maybe there's going to be fewer events. But so if you site disclaimer, okay, if the political scientists have found that if 3.5% of a population where there's an authoritarian takeover go take to the streets in any nation where that's happening, usually that authoritarian takeover is ended, and they avoid violence, and we are on the way towards violence. Don't get it twisted, like the way that the Republican Party has been lionizing people who unalive. Sorry, I'm using TikTok language, but I guess that means I'm doing a good job. Who unalive people They are basically bringing, Kyle Rittenhouse is being cheered by Charlie Kirk on stage at his events. He's being turned into a huge celebrity. Daniel Penny, who unalived someone on the New York City subway, it was immediately brought to the box of the president and vice president at a sporting event and celebrated. Right, that is stochastic terrorism, and it is wild, and it is unlike anything that is happening, in the non-MAGA political spaces. So Medford, Oregon. Where is Medford, Oregon? That is Southern Oregon. Okay. Yeah, I guess that's closer to the coast in Southern Oregon. So it seems like there's also not a lot going on over here. And so this is really, really terrifying. So what is the next National Day of Resistance over here with the 50501? I mean, this is This is scary that it's waning. Oh, wait, did I miss this before? No, this is March. Action type. Demonstration. Related topics? No. Place. Anywhere. Date. Yeah, it's all falling off. Mom Row, it's pretty wild. You would have had a pretty crazy June 14th. Now, where do I even see that, Jason? June 14th. I mean, we really need to go out and be strong on June 14th. But so isn't 501 what the hell is it? What a dumb name. Isn't 50501 resources, movement map, actions? I mean, okay, where do they advertise that? Actions, upcoming actions. This is July 27th. Why do they not have this? So thanks for bearing with me, everyone. We did not really go too deeply through the news. Jason, stop being such a sweet man. Don't stop. Don't ever stop. But you don't need to be sorry. Okay, so I asked, when is the next major wide protest against Trump? You're right, Jason. And so is June 14th, coinciding with his 79th birthday and the U.S. Army's 250th anniversary parade. June 14th, No King's Day nationwide protest organized by groups such as Refuse Fascism and 501. Like, why do they not have that prominently on their website? That is a huge oversight. The protest is said to occur alongside the Army's planned parade, which includes thousands of troops, military vehicles, and aircraft. Demonstrators plan to gather in Meridian Hill Park in Washington, D.C., and in various cities across the country. Okay. All right, so that's the deal. So will I see you on June 14th? So today's program was not really my most informative. Again, I have to apologize for that because I do believe that it is my role to give you as much information as I can about our information ecosystem. But I do want to show you one more time, to those people who are watching, the tools that we have available to us. So you can go to Public Enlightenment's Blue Sky account, you can click on lists, and you can get pro-democracy, fact-based news and opinion that is pro-democracy and fact-based. Yes, I'm about to go to TikTok, and I will be there for about 45 minutes. I do have to go. I'm so grateful for everyone. I will come back with a renewed and better program tomorrow. I didn't even show any of the fun stuff, but we need to all worship facts at all times, because we're always going to have liberal and conservative people in this country. But if we do not argue about those things and seek solutions about those things and contend those things based on the same set of facts about the world, there's only one such thing as a fact. It is a fact. A fact is a fact. There is no such thing as alternative facts. And so we need to worship facts at all times. And so how are you doing that? And how are you helping your old pal Rev Deuce to spread his message? One thing that I think could be effective, does this really still only have 25 views?
And so
Whoops, this is me live right now. Oopsie poopsie, loopsie doopsie. But hold on, bear with me, everybody. Thank you, Jason, for your encouragement. I need to improve my program a little bit. Okay, fight manipulation.
Joy. And so since we are the secular mega church of joy, we are all about pushing back against the hate and lies and manipulation and division that is being created.
So the most important part of this video, if you need to show it to someone, I need you to show this video to people, and I need you to show them this section. This only has 29 views on YouTube, and I think that this is one of the most important things that people could be seeing right now. There's so much other great stuff, but I just really deeply believe that, like, people need to understand exactly, like, when I go toe-to-toe with MAGA folks like I did yesterday, I need to interrupt the conversation and show them this, because there's nothing like this on MSNBC, for example. And, you know, I have deep knowledge and understanding of our information ecosystem, and I want to talk about local journalism, and I want to talk about Steve Waldman and rebuild local journalism, and I want to talk about, you know, the Montclair State University cooperative for media, and all of these things that are so much more important to our fundamental basic media ecosystem and all of that kind of a thing. But I can't, you know, because I need to go toe-to-toe and just get people off of the propaganda stream of information first. But I want you to show this video to people. It only has 29 views, and it needs way more.
Of propaganda.
We are waging a 21st century information warfare campaign against the left. It's like grassroots guerrilla warfare. Someone says something on social media, Musk retweets it. Rogan podcasts it.
These people will be moved to swing states, and that will be used to essentially rig those states and turn them blue forever.
Fox broadcasts it.
They want illegals to steal election, Sean.
And by the time it reaches everybody, millions of people have seen it.
Propaganda is effective in converting people from regular citizens in a pluralistic democracy into fascism worshipers, and so we must be fact worshipers at this time. The world is being destroyed by dickheads who are able to control.
So that's the part of the video that you should show people. I'm reminding myself that I should spread this somewhere right now. So I'm going to go and do that. You should go spread fact-based information every single time you are online. It is an information war for all of our brains after all. I will keep up the good fight, Jason. I'm so grateful for you and for everyone who tunes into the program. So deeply grateful. I will strive to be as good as I possibly can at all times. I am just one man living in an apartment trying to do this. So please go have a wonderful day. Be a loving person. Support others. Lift people up. Try to agree with the ideas of others in the face of the disinformation and disconnection reality that is being created for us. Yes, Ed, thank you. I love you so much. Follow the fear.